Hey YouTube, it's JP Dillon. Welcome to part 2 of the 1965 RCA. In the last video we got it going, but then we started to get picture breakup and dashes and flashes across the screen indicative of high voltage failure either in rectifier, damper, or horizontal out. So I went back to storage and I got the tubes that I pulled out of the other chassis, which was a KCS 146. This is a 149, but I think they used the same complement. We'll find out in a moment. We found that on the tester, the high voltage rectifier was barely alive, even though it did produce a picture. So we're going to swap that first and see what performance change, if any, we get, or if our little dots and dashes come back. So let's go ahead and get the high voltage cage open. So here we are. And this just snaps open. You can see I've already removed the old one because it was really scary. My aged wax drippings here. Not going to care too much about that. Let's go get our replacement. So these are pretty much the same complement of tubes as the 146A chassis that we had. This 1B3 is still tested about 50%. This is obviously a replacement 6JB6. And then this is the 6AY3, which in this one is a new 70s production line RCA tube. So let me pop the rectifier in here, and then we'll get it going and see if our little scary dots and dashes come back, because the rectifier was barely alive. And so I wonder, ooh, that's interesting. You see that little bit of funky blue powder there that just came out of that connector? Well, I didn't see that before. Look at that. Let's see if I can get the camera to focus on it better. That lovely bit of crust and corrosion inside of there. That's going to piss things off. Let me get something to scrub that out, and then we'll give it a shot. So that kind of gives you a better idea as to what we're looking at. And I keep disturbing the light, but you can see all that funky corrosion that's in there. And that would definitely upset the high voltage, especially at that frequency. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to use a non-residue contact cleaner. And we're going to spritz this out and just work on cleaning it out here. Get some of the funk and fuzz out. Because that would definitely make a poor enough connection to cause issues. Get something to scrape this out here, and I apologize if the lighting's crummy, but this is what I got. I know we're going to have people screaming at their computers or their devices right now. You're scraping off the protective coating. Oh! Yeah, it happens. But I'd rather get rid of this protective coating and have a good conductive surface than to leave it on there all crusty and blue and not be able to do much with this top cap connection. That's fairly significant. Let's see, this one's got it pretty bad too. I'll see if I can get a better shot of this in a little bit, but yeah, it's hard to see, but there was definitely arcing around the blue powdery stuff. So there was some definite high voltage arc over inside of here, as small as it was. Still significant. Clean all the blue fuzz out of here. Yeah, I'm sorry you guys can't see any of that. Let's see if we get rid of the backlighting, maybe. Of course, now the lamp's gonna fall. So that's a little better. At least it's not creeping on the contact anymore. We're going to give that a shot now. And then, of course, let me clean off the connection on the high voltage rectifier. See non-residue, how it evaporates almost instantly. Residues will cause you headaches, corona and spillover and stuff. And then we'll just sweep out the garbage here. That's pretty significant. Oh well. So let's give this a shot here. Okay, so we're going to see if a new high voltage rectifier does anything for us. I've got it hooked up to broadcast TV. We're going to power it up and see if it behaves itself. Alright, so we got a bit of a sound issue. So, sound and IF to our sound and picture don't tune. That could be a detector issue, that could be a... There's our AGC tube right there. Let's mess around with the sockets on our IF tubes. Now we got no sound at all. So that's another issue we got. Picture looks great though. Let's see if we can... Picture looks really good. But when you try to tune sound,
all settled. They've selected you
there's
to
your
give the
sound.
Oliver.
But then when you tune the picture, sound disappears. So carrier frequencies are off. That could be anything from a bad detector tube, that could be a misalignment, that could be a number of things. So we may test some more tubes and get an idea as to what's going on here. I wish this thing, that's a little better there. Change the exposure a little bit. Of course now it's not going to behave at all. This has got the CRT woke up pretty good on this, so it's pretty bright. You can see the picture's kind of pulsating. If you keep your eye on the antenna TV logo here at the bottom, you can see it pulsing and moving around. Definitely sound issues. No speckles on the picture yet though. We definitely got some jitter. Let's tune off channel a little bit and see if we can straighten up. I tune off channel to lose sync, and then I'll adjust the horizontal hold so that it stands up. It may still be floating, but it stands up. That tells me I'm at my center point. Vertical is super touchy. Like very little range. Mess with our AGC a little bit. Back off from overloading. It's definitely waking up. Picture's looking a lot better. But we need to figure out why we have no sound. It could be a detector, it could be a audio amp tube not on the right frequency. But whatever's gone wrong, we still also have a little bit of compression at the top. It's hard to see because this thing keeps blinking, but we are squished just up here. And that could be a tired old vertical output tube, could be a number of things. This thing just keeps blinking. Looks good though. Alright, let's see if we can investigate the sound problem a little bit. So according to our tube diagram, we've got our 6HZ6 as our sound detector and first audio, and then 6HF8 is video and sound, so not sure which one of those two could be at fault or the adjacent transformer that needs to be retuned. But the first thing we need to do is test the tubes and see if the tubes are okay, and if they are, then we need to do more serious troubleshooting of the circuit, because when sound and picture don't tune, you suspect IF problems, you suspect sound detector problems, and what I want to hope for is that it's just simple retuning of the sound circuit or a bad tube or two, because if I have to do a full IF alignment on this thing, that sucks. And right now my IF equipment is buried, and yeah, don't want to have to unbury it if I don't have to. But let's check the two tubes first, and then let's see if we can dial in the sound. So the 6HZ6 is pinned out like a 6AU6. So they say plate 83. Wait for it to warm up. It's got massive grid leakage and no emission. So I'm thinking that's done, and that's probably why we don't have sound. Let me see if one of the tubes that I yanked out of the 146 is a 6HZ6. Alright, so in the KCS 146 they use a 6GX6. I'm going to try to find the differences between the two in a moment. But the one that I pulled out is okay. Not great, but there's no shorts or anything, so I might see if this is a viable substitute. So yeah, this is the KCS 146 from the other video, and you can see they use a 6GX6. And they use a 6HZ6 on UHF models, which is what this is. So I don't know if the bandwidth of the 6HZ6 is wider or what. Let's see if we can find that, because obviously they could be used both in the same circuit. So let's see what the differences are if possible. Okay, so they're very similar. The 6GX6 has a little bit lower grid capacitance. They're at 6.5 picofarads and 1.6 and 8 from first grid to plate, grid 3 to plate, etc. Whereas the 6HZ6, a little bit lower numbers, except for the grid 3 to plate, it's pretty close. Grid 1 to everything is a little bit higher. Let's see what the transconductance is if it's listed. Let's see what the resistances difference here is. Yeah, so it's very close. And let's see there, grid 1 and 3 voltage about the same. Let's look at the transfer characteristic here if they got it listed. So I mean it's close that it's probably not going to matter. You'd get a little bit of crappier performance on UHF, but I'm not going to use UHF, so whatever. Let's pop this one in and see if we get our sound back. Okay, let's see what our sound fares like now. Gotta wait for them tubes to warm up. Still no sound. Way overloaded picture though. Alright. So still no sound, even though we did replace that defective tube. And it's more likely to be the detector than the audio amp tube that comes after. So yeah, so let's see if giving a little tweak on the detector, assuming I can find my tools, which have run away from me, my alignment tools. Let's give a little tweak on the detector and see what that does for us. Because right now it just sounds like garbled FM. Find the correct tool. Our dots and dashes seem to have gone away, so I guess it was the rectifier in the socket there that was the problem. Yeah, very marginal to no change at all on the primary. Let's go to the secondary. Just ain't doing well. Yeah, so we've got sound issues. I can peak those cores, and it only marginally helps. We got static and noise, but that's about it. No good. So our sound component isn't getting through for some reason. Just a little love tap on all. The transformers don't yield any change except when you get to the detector stage. So we've obviously got an IF response problem. It's not really known yet what's the full cause. We can check the other tubes, the IF tubes, etc. There could be a problem in the mixer and the tuner. But we have a great picture, just garbage sound. And no more dashes or anything, so the high voltage woes appear to be fixed. I know you get to look at this blinking screen all day, and I apologize for that. Can't really fix what the camera's doing. But let's do a little further investigation on the remaining IF and tuner tubes. And again, I really don't want to have to do an alignment. I don't. But got to see what's wrong. And we could have an open detector transformer too. You really don't know. We don't know the history of this thing. We don't know why it was parked. So, yeah, I got more stuff to look at. So, let's take a look at some of the other IF tubes just for grins and giggles. I doubt that the IF tubes are going to be responsible, but we could try on the off chance that one of them might be. So this is the third IF. This is the 6EW6, which I'm pretty sure I have a replacement on. Yeah, that's tired but passable for sure. That would still work. So I'm pretty much going to rule that one out. And let's go back to the second IF, which is a 6GM6. That's going to be a little bit less plate. Same socket. I don't see no filament lit yet. This one's warm, but it's not hot like the other ones were. But if we didn't have this, we would certainly not have a picture. It's creeping up. There we go. Yeah, again, not great, but it's passable. There's no shorts, there's no leakage. Performance isn't great, but it shouldn't kill the sound. So let's check our first IF, which is a 6BZ6. Same socket. And that's a little more on the plate. Again, tired, but still going. And then let's once again, we're going to check our mixer oscillator in the tuner on the off chance that that might be a problem. And this is a different one. This is a 6KZ8. The other one used a 6U8. KZ6C8. Oh, it's a fancy one with all the little switches and things. All right. Let's see what we end up here with. Come on, warm up. I just set up the wrong one. KZ8, not KJ or JZ8. KZ8. Let's fix that. Something in my mind wasn't clicking, and I said, let's look before we throw the switch. And I was right. KZ8. All right, filament's warming up. .73, yeah, tired but passable. Let's look at the second section. A and B is the filament on this one, so I don't need to change that. And let's see. Same thing. Well, that doesn't like that, does it? Shows a short. Let's just make sure. F, 2 blanks, heater. Yep, that one's supposed to be down, not up. C and E, B and A. Still has a short. Massive grid leakage. No emission. So the second section's dead. Oh, there we go. So wiggle, wiggle. But, yeah. So grid short there. Not good. So our mixer oscillator could also probably cause the sound not to tune. What we need to do is see if there's a sub available for that and test that, although I doubt it. Okay, so it's a medium triode sharp pinode. Recommended sub is 6CS8. I don't know if I have one of those or one of the 6KZ8s, but either way, it's not the same as the previous. The 146 used a 6EA8 or 6U8. So we're going to have to stop here until I can find another tube for the tuner, and then hope that that gets the set going again as far as the sound. You never want to do an alignment tweak until you know everything is working good. If you just go in there and go for the alignment without ever checking the tuner or the IF tubes, you're wasting your time. So I'm going to get a hold of a 6KZ8 or a 6CS8, I think it was. Yeah, CS8, and then pop that in the tuner and see if we get our sound back. And then we'll work on maybe getting better IF tubes and stuff like that and see if it comes back. But the good news is that the high voltage ailments are gone, and it's got a nice, sharp, bright picture. So we're on our way. But in any case, thanks for watching this episode. More stuff to come.